They own the bubble. They control the bubble.
No.
They won by 13 points a game against 7 out of 8 playoff teams. The other game was against Washington. That is spectacular, and that was mostly about Devin Booker.
Dame Lillard scored more points than anybody else over the final 3 games of the regular season. Now, think about these great scorers. Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, George Gervin. He's 20 points clear over his last 3 games, the final 3 games of a season, than any of the greatest scorers in NBA history. And they say, you know what, Dame? Skip, and he's playing 42 minutes. He dropped another almost 45 minutes. So he cannot rest. It reminds me of when LeBron was back in Cleveland, Skip, and he could only take 10 seconds at a time or 30 seconds at a time. Yeah, you see the numbers. 45 minutes in a 48-minute ball game, which is unheard of in today's time. But that's what he's willing to do. And he gave you, what do he do? Drop down on him? 31? Oh, this old measly 31 points. He make me sick, them old little pedestrian 31 and 10. What I'm supposed to do with that?
So, what am I supposed to do with what Damian Lillard did not do in crunch time again and again and again that Devin Booker consistently clutched out? What am I supposed to do with their first loss? Portland's first loss came to Boston.
Yes.
And in that game, thanks to Gary Trent Jr.'s 3, that's when we were first discovering Gary Trent Jr.
Correct.
They were first discovering him. He hits a 3 with 1:57 left to put them up 1 point. What did Damian do down the stretch of that game? Nothing. He took a shot with 53 seconds left, a 3-point shot, and he missed it, and that was to tie the game, and they lost by 4. So he came up very small in their first loss, first of 2 losses. Then came the Clippers loss, which I mentioned before. And remember, that's no Kawhi and no Paul George down. He barely played in the fourth quarter, and they were up 5 with 2:58 left. Well, if you're telling me he's the MVP of the bubble, it's only 8 games. That's one you have to close against the Clipper backups. How do you explain they lost by 5? They're up by 5 with 2:58 left. They lose by 5. How do you justify he is the no-brainer runaway MVP when that happened against a team that we all consider a challenger, a contender? How do you explain that with 41 seconds left, he did make a driving layup to put them up 2, but then with 18 seconds left, he missed both free throws, and Pat Bev and Paul George are all over him doing this to him because they don't respect him because he hasn't yet earned the respect, especially in the postseason.
So what has Pat Bev and Paul George earned?
It just doesn't matter. They're looking at him saying, what have you earned, superstar?
Yeah, Dame was right. He just sent Paul George packing and made him go join a super team. That's what Dame has done.
In a crucial game for them, a game that they could have won, should have won, to just put them over the top so they wouldn't have had to sweat down the stretch. Then he has a 3 to tie with 9 seconds left and missed that. So you can't tell me MVP off that, and you can't tell me MVP off the Brooklyn game when he goes 7-12, the last 7-12, and he just makes those 3 cheap, undeserved free throws. That's all he did. And
he deserved them.
And that's a game that he even missed a 15-footer down the stretch of that game to put them up 4. That could have been the dagger shot. Again and again, he came up even smaller than he is down the stretch of these games. So he would have salvos of spectacular play, spectacular scoring, logo Lillard 3s, dunks, all sorts of highlight shots.
You told me the only thing that matters is the playoffs. One guy got his team into the playoffs, the other guy didn't.
Okay, but one guy had a leg up to get to the playoffs, right? He had a better record going in. He had a better chance. The other team couldn't have done better than it did.
Right.
This team went 6-2 to get into the playoff for the playoffs.
You say your guy, okay, in fourth quarter double-digit scoring, Dame Lillard had 5 of his 8 games. He scored in double figures in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Devin Booker had 1 of those games. Devin Booker was 11th in fourth quarter scoring. Dame Lillard was number 1. Book was 7th in assists.
And that was because they were crushing people. But when they had one close game against a really good team that was playing its stars to the close, he made the shot of shots, the one that we'll all remember. It was the most memorable and momentous shot of the tournament? Because it said Phoenix has arrived.
Well, if you don't remember 61-8, I don't know what to tell you. If you don't remember 51-7, I don't know what to tell you.
I remember.
If you can't remember 42-12.
Yeah. Do you remember what happened at the end of Boston, Clippers, Brooklyn, Memphis? There's 4 games that you get MVP off of, and I'm just dumbfounded because I'm just sitting here. I'm not nitpicking. I'm just saying, show me.
Let me ask you a question. Did he arrive at the destination unscathed?
Unscathed?
Yes.
Well, his teammates took him there on Saturday.
Oh, their teammates.
Well, come on. In
Who
the
led
fourth
the
quarter,
scoring?
he goes 0
Who
for
led the
1.
scoring?
0 for 1 in the fourth quarter. Really?
Hold on. I think CJ owed him.
Oh,
I think CJ owed him. Because remember how he was lugging around there with that bad back? And that man was dropping 61?
Well, now he owes CJ.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Skip, you want to do that?
Well, I just told you why. CJ made 3 straight clutch shots. Clutch jumpers, CJ.
Okay, he had the advantage because Ja Morant, although he was spectacular, he's not a defensive guy. And you see what they did. So whomever Ja was great, they put him in the pick and roll. And you heard what CJ said. He can't guard me. He can't guard me. So that's what you do. You find a weak link, and that's what teams are going to do. You got to find a weak link. The problem was, Skip, with Memphis, the reason why they didn't win this game, you got to make Dame, you got to make Dame work. You got to find somebody that can go at Dame and make him spend some energy on the defensive end. And Memphis didn't have anybody because Dame is going to take somebody. He's not going to guard Ja because Ja's going to try to, put him work and pick and roll him and try to get to the basket. So you got to let him rest because you can't play 45 minutes on both ends of the court. Nobody's been that good to be able to exert that kind of energy on the defensive end while trying to give you that kind of offensive output. But Skip, when you look at this, I like that trophy too. That little trophy Dave got. Hey, Dave, take another picture of that trophy and send it to your boy. Let your boy get another look at it.
Really? Oh, now you're his, right? You belong to him?
No.
I thought it was all about LeBron.
No. Skip, don't do that.
Okay.
Don't do that. Because what I have to do is that I have to put some righteousness on you. Because what you're trying to do is you try to diminish this man after this man
How am I
averaged 30.
trying to diminish?
Because he averaged 37 and 6.
Okay, just justify this for me.
What?
Mr. MVP.
Yes.
How do you go almost 20 minutes of the last 2 fourth quarters you played, the last 20 minutes in 2 fourth quarters, and you score no field goals and you're the MVP? How are you a superstar if you go 20 minutes? It's unheard of. It's impossible.
Hold on, Skip. Are free throws points? Hold on. And remember, you have, as great players, you have to find other ways to impact the ball game if you're not necessarily scoring at the clip that we're used to seeing you score. Did he not have a huge steal on Karis LeVert? He had another couple of steals on Saturday. So he's impacting the game, although he's not scoring. He's not impacting the game in which we're typically used to seeing Dame Lillard drop 22 in the fourth quarter or drop 15 in the fourth quarter. So he didn't necessarily impact the game with his scoring, but he did impact the game by scoring, by facilitating others to score, and by taking the ball away from them and keeping them from scoring. So his impact, his thumbprint was all over that.
That's called rationalizing.
Oh, my God.
I just want our viewers to let this sink in, that he went from scoring 61 points in a game to the last 7-12 against Brooklyn, then the last 12 minutes against Memphis on Saturday. That's almost 20 minutes of play in the fourth quarter, and he scored no baskets.
I'm glad Dame.
Wow.
I'm glad Dame is to the realization where he doesn't try and force it. He's like, okay, you want to trap me at half court? Guess what? I'll feed Greg Trent Jr. and let him bang your eyes out. You want to try to guys meet me at the rim with Valanciunas? I'm going to kick to Melo for a wide open 3. Skip, you make the right play and you live with the results. Now, you got to realize Melo is a top 20 all-time scorer in the NBA history. He has 3 gold medals. He's been All-NBA. He's been to the All-Star game. He was an MVP candidate one year.
I'm glad you brought that up. So Damian Lillard had Melo, that guy, future Hall of Famer, cinch Hall of Famer.
Yes.
And he had CJ.
Yes.
And he had Nurkic playing inspired after the loss of his grandmother, obviously, to COVID as he played on Saturday.
Yes.